Hey gang, Jane here, and I'm back with another video in our series on learning the basics of reading crochet symbol charts. This is part 5, and you can find the first 4 parts of this series if you need to catch up or review. The links will be in the description below. Each week, I will work through another part of the willow square using just the symbol chart, explaining the symbols as we go. This series is broken up into bite-sized videos, and in today's video, we'll be working through round 6 and 7 of our willow granny square using just the crochet chart. In this week's tutorial, we'll be squaring out our circle shape. Let's take a look at the stitches we'll be using in this tutorial. Looking at the stitch symbols, we see we will be using 2 new ones in round 6. The simple T shape with no cross stick is the half double crochet, and then the T shape with 2 cross sticks is the treble crochet. Because we are squaring the circle, we'll need different heights of stitches on this particular round. Then in round 7, we'll be back to using the one for double crochet, which is just the T shape with a single cross stick on it. Our beginning chains will reflect the T-shaped stitches we'll be using, so we'll have a beginning chain 4, which counts as a treble stitch in round 6, and in round 7 we'll have the beginning chain 3 that counts as the double crochet. Of the chain stitches, we'll be using both the chain 1 and the chain 2, and we'll be introducing the corner chain 3. This one creates a nice crisp corner when we're turning our circle into a square. And as before, our rounds end with a solid circle, which is a slip stitch. We'll discuss these symbols more as we come across them in our chart. Remember, you can find out how to get the PDF of the symbol chart in the description below. We'll be using our color version again, as I like how we can keep track of what round we're on and what color we're working with. Okay, now that we've covered all that, let's get working on our square. So you can see here, just to recap, here are our first 5 rounds, and again we have a little bit of cupping going on here with the last one. That's okay, round 6 is going to look after that. So round 6, you're looking for that number 6 with a circle around it. And we're actually going back a little bit because we want it to start in a corner of our square. So it doesn't actually matter which one that we use, but we'll just follow the chart and we'll look and see we have a chain 2, and then it's actually starting in the next chain 2 backwards. So go back 2 sets of chain 2s, and that's where we're starting round 6, and we're starting with a chain 4 beginning chain, as you can see by these 4 ovals stacked on top of each other. This will count as our first treble stitch. So go into that chain 2 stitch and pull up your blue. And as you can see, I'm staying with the colored chart now so that we can continue on following the colors that we're using. Didn't want to confuse you too much at the beginning with all the information, but now you're getting used to the symbols, I thought I'd introduce the background colors that I like to use in my charts to help guide you through what color is coming next. So we've joined our blue, and we want to go ahead and do a chain 4. So that's 2, 3, and 4. That counts as our first treble. We want to go ahead and work 2 more trebles. So here we have the T's with the double stroke, which means trebles, and there's 2 of them, and they are pointing into the same chain 2 space that we joined. So we wrap the yarn twice around the hook, insert it into that same chain 2 space, and pull up a loop. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 at a time until we get to 1 loop on the hook. That's our treble. So then we do that 1 more time, wrap twice around the hook, into the chain 2 space, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and 2 at a time until you get to 1 loop. So now we have what we call 3 trebles into that first chain 2 space because this chain 4 counts as 1. Then we have 2 ovals lying on their side, which is a chain 2. So 1, 2. Now we're going to skip over these 3 single crochet and work into the next chain 2 space. And we have the T's that have no strokes on them. Those are half double crochets. So we have 3 of them into the next chain 2 space. And again, half double crochet is just bringing it through all 3 of those loops at once, right? Yarn over, insert, pull up a loop, bring through all 3 loops at once. Much shorter stitch, but we are squaring off our circle. As you can see on the chart, we're creating an edge. That's going to be one of the edges of our squares. So now we have 2 more chain. Skipping over this next batch of single crochet and working into the next chain 2 space, we've got 3 more half double crochets. So again, let's work those 3 separate half double crochets. They make 3 separate stitches. And then we have a chain 2. We're now going to make the opposite corner of the edge we've been working across. So our corner consists in the next chain 2 space. So again, skipping over these single crochets, we want to work 3 trebles, chain 3. As you can see in the corner, it's 3 ovals, but they curve around, so you're making a corner. And then 3 more trebles in the exact same space. So a lot going on in the next chain 2 space. And the nice thing with the chart again is that you can see what it's supposed to look like. So let's go ahead and do 3 trebles. A nice thing with the chart is when you're working the written instructions, you don't necessarily know what it is you're creating unless there's extra help written into the instructions. With the chart, you know why you're doing what you're doing because you can see exactly what it's supposed to look like. So these 3 chain right here are going to be my corner, chain space. And then we work 3 more treble into that same chain 2 space from the previous round. So it feels like there's a lot going on in this corner, but it's turning the corner for us. So there we have everything worked into that chain 2 space. And now we want to go down the next side. So basically the next side is repeating what we just did. So you'll start with a chain 2 and you'll look for the next chain 2 space, skipping over these 3 single crochets. Then you're going to work 3 half double crochet into this next chain 2 space. And you're going to do that all the way around to create your 4 edges. And I'll meet you back here before we complete the last corner. And I'll show you how we do that on the chart. So I'm almost at the end of the round. You can see this is where we started with the chain 4. And then we worked our first edge, did our corner, next edge, did another corner, another edge, another corner, and we're coming up the last edge. And you can see that we only ever worked in those chain 2 spaces. We did not touch the single crochet stitches. And if you lay it out, you can look at your chart and say, yeah, this looks like it's supposed to look. So it's kind of a nice gauge that you can tell that you're on track without getting too far before you realize that, oh, I worked things in the wrong spot. This doesn't make sense. Sometimes you reach around and it doesn't make sense at all and you don't realize that you made a mistake a few rounds back. So it's nice to have that nice visual map in front of you. So how we're going to finish this is we've done our 2 batches of half double crochet stitches and a chain 2. And we're now back to the chain 2 space that we joined in. So let's pick this up and complete the round. We need 3 trebles worked into that same chain 2 space that we joined in. So go ahead and do 3 trebles. So you're basically working the other half of the corner that you started with. So that's our 3 trebles. Then we do a chain 3 that makes our corner. And there's that solid dot to say that we're going to slip stitch and finish our round. It is at the top of the 4th chain, 4th beginning chain. So you're going to go up 4 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to go into that 4th chain and just pull up a loop and pull it through the one on the hook. That's your slip stitch. And then you're going to cut your yarn and pull it through. And you've officially completed round number 6. So that was the hardest round of the square, so congratulate yourself for getting through that one. So now we'll be ready for round number 7. So round number 7, we're looking for that number 7 with the circle around it. We're going to be using white. On the chart, I have you joining in the chain 3, the last chain 3 that we worked on. I like, again, to keep them all in a row on the chart so that you can see them. But in reality, I would normally start in a different corner. so that I don't have all my ends in one corner. It can create a bit of bulk. But again, because we're following the chart, I'm going to go ahead and just do what the chart says. So we want to start with a chain 3, beginning chain 3. We've got 3 ovals stacked on top of each other, and we're working into the corner chain 3 that we just finished. So go ahead with your white, pull up a loop. Again, that doesn't count as a chain, and work 3 chains. That counts as your first double crochet. Now we have our T's with the 1 stick across them, which means that they are double crochets. So we need to work 2 of these into that same chain 3 space. Next we have an oval lying on its side, and there's only 1, so it's a chain 1. Now the next place we're going to work, we have 3 more double crochets, which is the only stitch we're going to be working with in this round. And we're going to be working it into the next chain 2 space. So you want to go to that next chain 2 space. It lets you bypass all these stitches, and you're working into this space right here. So we want to do 3 double crochets into that space. Then we want to chain 1. And you can see that that is pretty much what we're doing all the way around. 3 double crochets and a chain 1 until we hit the corners. So we'll work across until we hit this corner. So the next batch of 3 double crochets goes into the next chain 2 space. So we'll go ahead and do those 3 double crochets. And then we do a chain 1. Now we have another batch of 3 double crochets into the next chain 2 space. So 3 double crochets and then a chain 1. Now I've reached my next corner. So let's go back and just look at this edge and see what it looks like on the chart. If I look at the chart, I have the first half of the first corner and then 3 clusters in the middle. I call them clusters even though they're batches of 3 individual stitches, not a normal cluster that makes 1 stitch. Don't get the terminology mixed up. But we have these batches of 3 double crochets in each of the chain 2 spaces, and we have 3 of them. If you look at the chart, we also have 3 of them. So that helps you know that you are on track. So now we're going to move into the corner, which involves 3 double crochets into this chain 3 space. So go ahead and do 3 double crochet. Then you want to do a chain 3, another corner chain 3, and then 3 more double crochet into that same corner. So 1, 2, and 3, and that makes us turn the corner. So you can see here, I've just created another corner on top of the previous corner. This is what we're going to do all the way around. So you're going to continue with these 3 double crochet sets into the next chain 2 spaces and create another corner. You'll do it again across this side with a corner. You'll continue up this side, and then I'll meet you here to complete this corner and complete the round. Okay, so we've reached the end of round 7. We're not quite completed though. We have to finish our last corner. So we've worked our 3 groups of 3 double crochets into the chain 2 spaces on our last edge. And now I want to work a chain 1. I already did that. Now I want to do 3 double crochet into the same chain 3 space that I joined. So we do go ahead and do that. 1, 2, and 3. And now I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. And you can see the solid dot tells us we're going to join our round now. And we're going to join it into the 3rd chain of the beginning chain 3. So insert your hook. We've done this one before. Pull through and pull through the one on the hook. Then you're going to go ahead and cut your yarn and pull it through, and that completes round 7. So again, take a look at your work and compare it to the chart, and you'll see they should look similar. I mean, not identical, but they will look very similar because one is symbols and one is real life. But it helps you understand, okay, am I looking the way I'm supposed to look? Is everything fitting together the way it does on the chart? So that covers rounds 6 and 7, and we're almost finished. Our granny square is actually a square now, and we just want to put a few rounds of border on it. So join me in the next lesson where we'll explore rounds 8, 9, and 10 of our chart, and I'll discuss alternatives to these rounds as well. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to my channel so you're sure to catch all my tutorials as they come out. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.